Watch the world long enough, and you start to notice something unsettling. People aren't thinking anymore. They're reacting. They're repeating. They're performing intelligence instead of practicing it. Opinions come pre-packaged. Beliefs come pre-approved. Narratives come pre-digested, so no one ever has to bite into truth themselves. And beneath this strange mental laziness lies a deeper psychological design, a structure built quietly, subtly, almost invisibly, to discourage thought and reward obedience. George Orwell saw this long ago. Animal Farm wasn't just a story about animals, it was a warning about human psychology, how societies lose their minds not through violence, but through convenience, not through tyranny alone, but through the slow erosion of curiosity, memory, and critical thought. Modern society doesn't silence people with force, it silences them with distraction, with overstimulation, with emotional manipulation, with narratives that feel safe to follow and dangerous to question. People no longer seek truth, they seek comfort, they seek belonging, they seek the warm satisfaction of being on the right side without ever asking who built the sides in the first place. You've probably felt it yourself, that heavy fog in conversations where everyone seems sure, but no one seems aware. That strange emptiness online where people repeat phrases that sound smart but mean nothing. That rising pressure to agree with things you don't fully believe because disagreeing feels like stepping into fire. This is not accidental. It is psychological conditioning, the kind Orwell illustrated when the animals slowly forgot their own commandments, their own history, their own ability to think independently. Modern society is no different. The slogans are new, the faces are new, the technology is new, but the psychology is the same. If you've ever wondered why thinking feels harder today, why truth feels buried, why speaking honestly feels dangerous, and why silence feels safer than awareness, this script is for you. And if you're new here and this type of raw, uncomfortable insight is exactly what your mind has been starving for, then make sure you subscribe to Soulless, because we go deeper than the world allows. How modern minds become the new farm animals. People like to believe they're different from the animals in Orwell's Animal Farm. They think they're too intelligent to be deceived, too aware to be manipulated, too educated to be controlled. But intelligence has never been the shield people think it is. It's not intelligence that protects you, it's awareness, it's memory, it's the ability to question narratives even when everyone else follows them blindly. And this is where modern society has quietly begun to resemble Orwell's farm, not through overt tyranny, but through a slow, psychological reconditioning that turns independent minds into obedient ones without a single chain ever being necessary. On Orwell's farm, the animals didn't lose their freedom overnight. They lost it through small compromises, small conveniences, small moments of blindness. They surrendered their thinking piece by piece until the pigs no longer needed force, because the animals had forgotten how to think for themselves. Does that sound familiar? Modern society works the same way, not with whips and fences, but with algorithms and narratives. Not with brutality, but with comfort. Not with fear, but with emotional distraction. People fall into obedience without realizing they ever agreed to anything. Think of the early chapters of Animal Farm. The animals begin with hope, idealism, visions of a better world, belief in their own power. For a while, they question every rule, challenge every assumption, and see through every manipulation. Then the decline begins. Not through violence, but through exhaustion. The harder the animals work, the less time they have to think. The more they suffer, the more they depend on the pigs to explain reality to them. And the more they rely on explanation, the less they trust their own memory. This is the exact psychological trap modern society has recreated. People today are not too stupid to think. They are too drained to think. They are exhausted from work, overstimulated from constant noise, dulled by digital sedation, emotionally overwhelmed by a world demanding their attention every second of every day. Thinking becomes a luxury. Obedience becomes survival. And so, like the animals on the farm, they begin outsourcing their awareness to people who appear confident, authoritative, and certain. Narratives replace observation. Experts replace intuition. Influencers replace individuality. And slowly, the mind becomes comfortable with not thinking. Consider the character of Squealer, Orwell's propaganda specialist. The pig who always found the words to explain away contradictions, to twist failures into triumphs, to convince the animals that what they saw was not what they saw. Modern society is full of squealers. They are not just in governments. They are in corporations, media outlets, online platforms, cultural movements, and even in social circles. Squealer is anyone who controls information in a way that controls perception. The trick is simple. Make the population emotionally reactive so they no longer analyze anything. Tell them what to feel, and they will create their own logic to justify the feeling. That is how modern propaganda works, not through threats, but through emotional alignment. You don't have to silence a thinking mind. You only have to overstimulate it until thought becomes impossible. Now look at Boxer, the hard-working, loyal horse who represents the well-meaning citizen. Boxer's downfall is not stupidity. It is blind trust. He works harder to fix problems that were created by the very system he serves. His famous line is chilling because it captures the psychology of millions today. I will work harder. People are trapped in the same cycle. When life collapses around them, they don't question the system. They blame themselves. They think their suffering is a personal failure instead of a structural design. Work harder, try more, be productive, earn your worth. This is modern society's way of turning thought into guilt. If you feel powerless, it must be your fault. If you feel confused, it must be your fault. If you feel lost, it must be your fault. And while Boxer breaks his body trying to serve the farm, modern people break their minds trying to survive the system. In both cases, the result is the same: a citizen too exhausted to see the truth and too loyal to question the authority that exploits them. Then we have the sheep, the masses who repeat slogans without understanding them, the echo chambers of the farm. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. 4 legs good, 2 legs better. Change one word and the herd follows. Modern society has its own slogans, short, emotional, simplified, designed not to provoke thought, but to replace it. All movements use them, all ideologies use them, all institutions use them. Not because people are stupid, but because repetition is easier than reflection. The psychological function of a slogan is not clarity. It is obedience. Once people begin repeating what they don't understand, they stop seeking understanding. That is how critical thinking dies, not in arguments, but in chance. And then there's the rewriting of history. One of the most chilling moments in Animal Farm is when the commandments change, subtly, quietly, almost imperceptibly. No animal shall sleep in a bed, later becomes, no animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets. No animal shall drink alcohol, later becomes, no animal shall drink alcohol to excess. Every commandment changes not by force, but by forgetfulness. The animals simply don't remember how things used to be. This psychological decay is happening today. People forget. They forget promises. They forget failures. They forget contradictions. They forget the original rules and accept the rewritten ones as if they were always there. Memory is replaced by whatever narrative is fashionable, whatever voice is loudest, whatever version of truth is most convenient for maintaining social comfort. Once society loses its memory, it loses its mind. And nothing destroys critical thinking faster than a population with no historical awareness. Finally, we reach the most important parallel. The pigs begin walking on two legs. The moment the animals surrender their ability to think, those in power change shape. They evolve into the very thing they claimed to oppose. In modern society, this transformation is everywhere. Movements become corporations, rebels become tyrants, truth-tellers become influencers, victims become oppressors, freedom becomes branding, justice becomes marketing. People who claim to fight for truth end up manipulating truth. People who claim to empower end up controlling. People who claim to liberate end up policing thought. This is the natural evolution of any system where critical thinking dies. When the population stops thinking, the leaders stop pretending. Power reveals itself when no one is left to question it. You are not meant to live like this. You were not born to play the role of one of Orwell's animals, forgetful, exhausted, overwhelmed, fed narratives instead of meaning, rewarded for compliance instead of awareness. The first section ends here, but the real unraveling begins in the next. Because now that you understand how the farm is recreated in modern life, it's time to explore the psychology that makes people obey it. Why people obey the farm without being forced. Misplaced. Perily needs violence to maintain control. It only needs the population to believe that thinking for themselves is dangerous, unnecessary, or too exhausting to bother with. This was the quiet brilliance of Orwell's Animal Farm. The pigs never truly ruled by force. They ruled by psychology. And that psychology is exactly what governs modern society today. People assume obedience comes from fear, but fear is only the beginning. Real obedience comes from something far more insidious: emotional comfort. People obey because obedience feels easier than confronting the discomfort of independence. Because following removes responsibility. Because thinking exposes you to conflict, uncertainty, and the possibility that you may need to change your entire life. The animals on the farm weren't stupid. They were emotionally manipulated. And emotional manipulation is the most powerful form of control ever invented. Modern society uses it the way Orwell's pigs did: quietly, consistently, strategically. The first psychological mechanism behind obedience is learned helplessness. The animals initially believed they could change their world. They questioned rules, challenged leaders, and believed in their own agency. But every time they tried, they were defeated. Not by force, but by confusion. Contradictory commandments, contradictory explanations, contradictory promises, until eventually they stopped trying. Humans are the same. Most people don't question society because every attempt to question it is met with noise, mockery, cancellation, complexity, or emotional resistance. Every challenge is smothered beneath 1,000 contradictory opinions until the mind collapses and says, "It's pointless. I'll just go along." This is how the modern world kills critical thinking. Not through oppression, but through overwhelm. A drowning mind does not rebel. It submits. Another mechanism is social conformity. Humans fear social rejection more than almost anything. It's hardwired, a survival instinct from the earliest days of civilization. But in the digital age, this instinct has mutated. It's amplified, exaggerated, weaponized. People fear the backlash of disagreement. They fear the digital mob. They fear being misunderstood, misquoted, misrepresented, misaligned with the acceptable position. On Orwell's farm, the sheep repeated slogans not because they believed them, but because the herd believed them. Belief was irrelevant. Belonging was everything. Modern humans live trapped in the same psychological cage. If you disagree publicly, you risk isolation. If you question accepted truths, you risk ridicule. If you say something complex in a world addicted to simplicity, you risk being labeled as difficult, dangerous, or wrong. Most people would rather be comfortably wrong than painfully independent. Critical thinking dies not from ignorance, but from fear of standing alone. Another layer of obedience comes from identity programming. People tie their beliefs to their identity. This means questioning a belief feels like questioning themselves. It feels like tearing apart their own sense of self. On the farm, the animals began identifying with the ideology of animalism, even when the pigs betrayed it. They believed in the farm more than they believed in truth. This prevented them from questioning hypocrisy, contradiction, and abuse. Humans today behave the same way. Political identities, cultural identities, ideological identities. People choose a side and then defend it against evidence, logic, or reality. Identity becomes a psychological prison that people willingly lock themselves inside. Critical thinking requires detachment, the ability to examine one's own beliefs without collapsing emotionally. But society has conditioned people to merge belief and identity so completely that independent thought feels like self-betrayal. And nothing controls a population more effectively than a belief system they're too afraid to question. Then comes narrative rewriting, a psychological tool Orwell illustrated with chilling accuracy. When the pigs altered the commandments, they weren't just lying. They were training the animals to distrust their own memory, to depend on authority to remember reality for them. Once a population loses trust in its own perception, critical thinking becomes impossible. Modern society does this differently, but the effect is the same. News updates rewrite yesterday's truth. Influencers rewrite emotional narratives. Institutions rewrite definitions. Corporations rewrite normal. Movements rewrite morality. Technology rewrites attention. Reality becomes fluid. Memory becomes unreliable. Truth becomes negotiable. People no longer ask, "What's true?" They ask, "What am I supposed to believe today?" And that question is the funeral of critical thinking. Another powerful psychological weapon is the illusion of choice. On Orwell's farm, the animals believed they were free because they were given the illusion of participation. Votes that didn't matter. Decisions that were pre-decided. Options that led to the same outcome. Modern society uses the same trick. People choose between two parties that serve the same system. They choose between narratives crafted by the same powers. They choose between lifestyles dictated by the same economic constraints. They choose between distractions that all numb the same consciousness. When all choices lead back to obedience, choice becomes a psychological narcotic, a way to keep people feeling free even when they aren't. Critical thinking requires real freedom, And real freedom begins with rejecting false choices. But rejecting them requires courage, clarity, and a willingness to confront the emptiness behind the illusion. Most people aren't ready for that confrontation, so they choose what they were told to choose and believe they decided it themselves. Obedience feels like autonomy when the illusion is convincing enough. Propaganda also thrives on emotional stimulation. The pigs didn't explain facts. They appealed to fear, anger, hope, and loyalty. Emotion bypasses logic. Emotion overrides reasoning. Emotion collapses nuance. Emotion demands immediate action. Modern propaganda is designed with this exact formula. Clickbait, outrage cycles, identity-based narratives, fear-mongering headlines, simplistic moral framing, us versus them thinking, hero versus villain illusions. People respond emotionally and only later justify their reaction with pseudo-logic. The emotional mind comes online faster than the logical mind. Propaganda exploits this speed. Once emotion takes the lead, critical thinking can't catch up. Another mechanism is the seduction of simplicity. The more complex the world becomes, the more people crave certainty. Simple explanations, simple enemies, simple rules. This is why the pigs' slogans worked. They were simple enough to erase complexity. Modern society operates the same way. People gravitate toward clear-cut narratives even when they're false, because complexity feels overwhelming. Critical thinking requires tolerating ambiguity. It requires sitting with the discomfort of not having an immediate answer. But modern psychology has conditioned people to believe discomfort is a problem to escape. And so they escape into simplicity, into slogans, into tribal beliefs, into comforting lies. Simplicity becomes a blanket that suffocates the mind while keeping it warm. Finally, obedience thrives because people want meaning, and modern systems offer prefabricated purpose. The animals believed in the dream of animalism because it gave their suffering meaning. Modern humans are the same. Political movements give them purpose. Ideological tribes give them identity. Online communities give them belonging. Social narratives give them certainty. Collective outrage gives them direction. Victimhood gives them significance. Conformity gives them safety. Without meaning, the mind collapses. So people accept borrowed meaning instead of generating their own. And when your meaning comes from the system, your thinking becomes loyal to it. Critical thought is impossible when your sense of purpose depends on obedience. This is why people follow the farm without being forced. This is why modern society doesn't think critically. This is why the pigs grow stronger as the population grows weaker. And now, in the next section, we examine the most dangerous question of all. If people obey so easily, how does a system maintain control even after the truth becomes visible? Collaborators: how truth becomes invisible even when it's in front of you. Parity doesn't disappear because it is hidden. Truth disappears because the mind becomes conditioned to stop recognizing it. You can place the truth directly in front of someone, clear, obvious, undeniable, and they will look straight through it as if it were made of smoke. This is the final stage of psychological control, the one Orwell understood with frightening clarity. On Animal Farm, the truth was everywhere. The animals saw the pigs break every rule. They saw the inequality. They saw the corruption. They saw the commandments changing. They saw the transformation happening right in front of their eyes. but they didn't see it. Not really, not deeply, not in a way that awakened resistance. Why? Because the truth was not hidden. The animals' minds were. Modern society functions the same way. People witness manipulation daily. They see contradictions in leadership. They see the rewriting of narratives. They see corporations profiting from suffering. They see social decay disguised as progress. They see lies being repeated until they become indistinguishable from reality. And still, they don't resist. Not because they're blind, but because they've learned to doubt their own perception. Here's how truth becomes invisible even when it's painfully obvious. The first mechanism is cognitive dissonance. When reality contradicts a person's beliefs, the brain experiences psychological pain. To reduce that pain, people change their interpretation of reality instead of changing their beliefs. This is exactly why the animals ignored the pig's transformations. It was too painful to confront the truth that the leaders they trusted were exploiting them. So the mind created excuses, reasons, rationalizations. Surely the pigs know best. It must be necessary. We must be remembering incorrectly. Modern people do the same. When confronted with truths that threaten their worldview, their identity, or their sense of security, they retreat into rationalizations. They wouldn't lie to us. There must be a good explanation. It's not as bad as it looks. Everyone else agrees, so it must be fine. And so the truth vanishes, not because it's hidden, but because they choose not to see it. Another mechanism is emotional fatigue. When people are overwhelmed, the brain shuts down higher-level reasoning to conserve energy. Thinking becomes a luxury. Critical thought becomes optional. Reflection becomes impossible. The animals work themselves into exhaustion. By the time the pigs rewrote the rules, no one had the mental strength to question anything. Modern society is engineered to create the same exhaustion. People are mentally drained from constant stimulation, from notifications, from emotional news cycles, from digital pressure, from endless responsibilities, from the chaos of living in a world that never pauses. A tired mind will accept anything that reduces cognitive effort, and so truth becomes invisible because seeing it requires energy people no longer have. Selective memory distortion is another tool of control. On the farm, the animals forgot details of their past freedoms. They remembered pain, but not the cause. They remembered oppression, but not the oppressor. This loss of memory wasn't accidental. It was conditioning. When a population loses its memory, it loses its reference point for evaluating the present. Modern society suffers from a similar amnesia. People forget how life used to feel. They forget their own standards. They forget past contradictions. They forget promises broken. They forget how systems failed them. They forget how manipulation worked before. History is shortened. Context is erased. Every new lie becomes a clean slate. If you erase memory, you erase resistance. If you erase resistance, truth becomes irrelevant. Another factor is psychological dependency. Once the animals on the farm became dependent on the pigs for food, structure, identity, and worldview, they were incapable of challenging authority. Dependency kills clarity. Modern people depend on systems for far more than survival. They depend on them for meaning, for identity, for validation, for moral structure, for emotional belonging, for their sense of who they are. If a person's worldview comes from the very system they're supposed to question, they will choose loyalty over truth every single time. Truth becomes invisible when seeing it would cost you the world you emotionally rely on. Emotional tribalism is yet another mechanism. The pigs made the animals believe that questioning authority was the same as betraying the farm, and betraying the farm was equivalent to betraying all other animals. People today behave the same way. If you question a political ideology, you're labeled a traitor. If you question a social movement, you're labeled immoral. If you question scientific narratives, you're labeled ignorant. If you question media narratives, you're labeled extremist. The labels are not meant to describe reality. They're meant to control perception. Group belonging is more psychologically powerful than truth. People would rather be wrong inside a tribe than right inside solitude. Truth becomes invisible when seeing it would exile you. Motivated blindness is another psychological force. In Animal Farm, the animals wanted to believe the pigs. They wanted to feel that their suffering had purpose. They wanted to believe they were on the right side of history. Hope became blindness. Modern society is identical. People want to believe that progress is happening, that leaders have good intentions, that their sacrifices matter, that their belief systems are noble, that their chosen side is righteous. The more emotionally invested they are, the more blind they become. Hope itself becomes a narcotic, a way to avoid confronting the truth. Truth becomes invisible when seeing it would break your illusions. Authority intimidation also plays a role. The pigs asserted superiority. They used intelligence as a weapon. They made the animals feel too ignorant to understand complex matters. This psychological intimidation is everywhere today. Experts talk down to the public. Institutions dismiss questions. Leaders mock dissenters. Movements shame those who ask uncomfortable questions. People internalize this message. You're not qualified to think for yourself. And once someone believes they are unqualified to evaluate the truth, they stop trying. Truth becomes invisible when you believe you're not smart enough to see it. The last mechanism, and perhaps the most powerful, is the normalization of absurdity. At the beginning of the story, animals walking on two legs would have been unthinkable, unacceptable, impossible. But after enough conditioning, enough small betrayals, enough narrative shifting, enough exhaustion, enough emotional manipulation, the animals no longer reacted at all. They watched the pigs walk upright and accepted it as if it were always meant to be. Modern society normalizes absurdity in the same way. Contradictions become truth. Hypocrisy becomes morality. Ignorance becomes intelligence. Censorship becomes safety. Obedience becomes virtue. Confusion becomes clarity. Chaos becomes normal. People adapt so quickly to insanity that they stop recognizing it. Truth becomes invisible because absurdity becomes acceptable. This is how modern people lose sight of what is right in front of them. Not because they're blind, but because their minds have been conditioned to look away. In the next section, we explore how systems exploit this blindness and how manipulation becomes self-sustaining even when the manipulators no longer need to try. How manipulation sustains itself without a manipulator. Control begins with a manipulator, but it doesn't stay that way. At first, someone must actively shape the narrative, actively twist information, actively distort truth, actively guide perception. But over time, if the psychological conditioning succeeds, the population begins doing the work themselves. This is the most terrifying part of Orwell's Animal Farm. Not that the pigs controlled the animals, but that eventually the animals controlled each other without the pigs lifting a hoof. Manipulation becomes self-sustaining when the population internalizes the very mechanisms used to control them. Modern society has reached this stage. People no longer need oppressive systems to silence them. They silence themselves. They silence each other. They enforce the narratives that enslave them, believing they are protecting truth when they are only protecting conditioning. This is how manipulation continues, even when the manipulators stop trying. Think of how the animals policed one another on the farm. Whenever a creature expressed doubt, fear, or memory, another animal, not a pig, would quickly shut it down. Not out of malice, but out of indoctrination. When Clover suspected the commandments had changed, she didn't accuse the pigs. She questioned herself. She doubted her own mind. And then, when the sheep began chanting, the moment of clarity died. The pigs didn't have to intervene. The animals did the policing for them. This mechanism is everywhere in modern psychology. Whenever someone asks a forbidden question, it's not authorities who rush to shut them down. It's their peers, their friends, their coworkers, their online followers, anonymous strangers. People who believe they're defending morality, justice, truth, or progress when they are only defending the narratives that were implanted into them. Manipulation has become crowdsourced, self-regulating, automatic. The pigs no longer need to rewrite reality. The animals rewrite it themselves. Once manipulation becomes internalized, a new force takes over: self-surveillance. On the farm, the animals began monitoring their own behavior to ensure they stayed loyal. They stopped imagining rebellion. They stopped imagining alternatives. They stopped imagining freedom. Internal surveillance is far more powerful than external force. Modern society mirrors this perfectly. People monitor their own thoughts, their own language, their own ideas, their own emotional impulses, just to make sure they remain acceptable to their tribe. They censor themselves before anyone else can. They dilute their own opinions before expressing them. They soften their truth to avoid backlash. They reshape their identity to avoid conflict. And slowly, thought itself becomes filtered before it even enters consciousness. This is how manipulation becomes permanent, when the mind becomes its own warden. Then comes moral outsourcing. On Animal Farm, the pigs didn't need to justify anything once the animals learned to outsource morality to them. Whatever the pigs did became righteous simply because the pigs had done it. Napoleon is always right. A chilling sentence, but an accurate reflection of modern psychological dependency. Today, people don't ask, "What is right?" They ask, "What am I supposed to believe is right?" They outsource morality to institutions, influencers, political movements, tribes, algorithms. Once they do that, they cannot think critically, because morality is the foundation of all independent thought. If your morality is borrowed, your thinking cannot be your own. And once morality becomes tribal, manipulation doesn't need a manipulator. The tribe enforces obedience on autopilot. Another mechanism is fear of ambiguity. The pigs succeeded because they provided simple answers to complex problems. They erased nuance. They erased uncertainty. They erased doubt. And the animals accepted it because ambiguity is psychologically uncomfortable. Modern society is addicted to certainty. People want fast conclusions, instant clarity, simple villains, clear heroes, binary categories that make the world feel manageable. Complexity threatens stability. Ambiguity threatens identity. Nuance threatens belonging. So people gravitate toward narratives that provide instant certainty, even when those narratives are false. And once certainty becomes a drug, thought becomes a casualty. Manipulation no longer needs to be imposed. It emerges naturally from the population's craving for simplicity. Then we confront the power of repetition. On Animal Farm, the sheep chanted the same slogans over and over until the words became psychological wallpaper. They stopped being statements and became reality. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. Then later, 4 legs good, 2 legs better. The content didn't matter. The repetition did. Modern society repeats ideas until they lose all meaning but retain emotional impact. People echo phrases they don't understand. They defend concepts they've never examined. They promote ideas they've never studied. Repetition replaces comprehension. And when a narrative is repeated enough, the brain stops questioning it because familiarity feels like truth. Manipulation becomes self-regulating when people repeat the narrative without needing to be told to. But the most powerful mechanism of all is the distortion of language. In Orwell's original vision, the corruption of thought always begins with the corruption of words. When the pigs changed the meaning of equal, thought changed with it. When they redefined work, the animals redefined suffering. When they distorted freedom, the animals lost the ability to even imagine rebellion. Language shapes consciousness. Change language, and you change the mind. Modern society has turned language distortion into an art form. Words are redefined constantly. Meanings shift overnight. Moral language becomes political. Scientific language becomes ideological. Social language becomes divisive. Emotional language becomes weaponized. People argue endlessly because they are not using words in the same way. They live in separate linguistic realities. When language breaks apart, critical thinking collapses with it. Manipulation becomes self-sustaining when the very tools we use to think become corrupted. Another factor is learned irrelevance. On the farm, the animals eventually stopped noticing contradictions. Not because the contradictions became subtle, they became blatant. But exposure breeds numbness. The pigs slept in beds. The pigs drank alcohol. The pigs traded with humans. The pigs killed other animals. The pigs walked on 2 legs. Each violation was a shock the first time. Then, the second time, a smaller shock. Then, none at all. This is the psychology of normalization. Modern society is drowning in contradictions. People witness hypocrisy daily. They see moral inconsistency. They see ideological corruption. They see authority violating its own rules. They see narratives collapse and rebuild themselves overnight. And yet, no one reacts. Why? Because repetition numbs the mind. Chaos becomes normal. Absurdity becomes expected. Hypocrisy becomes background noise. Manipulation becomes self-sustaining when people stop noticing it. The final mechanism is the most tragic one. People begin defending the very system that controls them. On Orwell's farm, when any animal tried to question Napoleon, someone else, usually another animal, would silence them. "Do you want Jones back?" This line appears over and over, a psychological intimidation tactic. Modern society uses the same formula. Whenever someone questions the system, others respond, "Would you rather have chaos? Would you rather live without order? Would you rather dismantle everything? Would you rather return to the past? Would you rather tear apart society?" Fear makes people cling to oppression because oppression feels safer than uncertainty. This is the final stage of manipulation, when the victims become the enforcers. When the mind that has been deceived begins deceiving others. When the manipulated become the manipulators. When the system no longer needs to maintain control because the people maintain it for them. What emerges is a society where thought is unnecessary, truth is optional, and reality is a group project built on fear, conformity, numbness, and emotional loyalty. But here's the twist that Orwell hinted at, and modern psychology confirms. Not everyone falls for this. Some individuals see the manipulation even when the entire population has fallen asleep. Some minds resist the decay. Some senses stay awake. Some souls cannot be tamed. In the next section, we explore the psychology of the people who refuse the farm. The people who can still think in a society that encourages blindness. The few minds who refuse the farm. Some beings on Orwell's farm were never fully asleep. Benjamin the donkey saw everything, remembered everything, understood everything, and spoke almost nothing. Not because he was powerless, but because he knew the truth long before the others did. A population that doesn't want to wake up cannot be awakened by force. Every society has a Benjamin. Every generation has a few minds that do not surrender to the collective fog. People who notice the contradictions. People who remember the past clearly. People who can feel manipulation in the tone of a sentence, the shift of a word, the timing of a narrative. People whose intelligence does not come from education, but from perception. These individuals exist in our world too. The ones who feel out of place in conversations full of rehearsed opinions. The ones who grow deeply uncomfortable when something everyone agrees on makes no real sense. The ones who feel drained when surrounded by emotional hysteria. The ones who stay quiet, not because they are weak, but because they are thinking. In a society conditioned not to think, being a thinker feels like disobedience. Being awake feels like betrayal. Being perceptive feels like danger. And yet these few individuals resist the farm instinctively, even if they cannot articulate why. Their psychology is different. Their internal wiring refuses blindness. Their mind rejects the sedation that others accept willingly. This resistance is not taught. It is built into them. The first psychological trait of these individuals is an intolerance for contradiction. Where others adapt to dissonance, they feel it like a splinter under the skin. Something wrong in the tone, in the phrasing, in the explanation, in the pattern. On the farm, Benjamin recognized the commandments had changed because his memory was intact. He knew the signs. He saw through Squealer's smooth reassurances. He caught the instant when a rule was rewritten, when a story was shifted, when a narrative bent itself into convenience. Modern thinkers are the same. They catch inconsistencies immediately. They sense the distortion in a headline. They notice the emotional bait in rhetoric. They see the hidden agenda beneath performative outrage. They pause when everyone reacts. They reflect when everyone repeats. Their mind does not allow lazy acceptance. It demands alignment, coherence, truth. This trait alone sets them apart from the collective. Another defining quality is emotional independence. While most people fuse thought with feeling, these individuals create distance between the two. They may feel anger, fear, sadness, hope, but they do not let those emotions dictate their beliefs. This is why emotional propaganda fails on them. This is why trends do not seduce them. This is why slogans slide off their mind without leaving a mark. Critical thinking requires standing outside one's emotions long enough to see clearly. Most of the farm could not do that. Every speech from Squealer activated fear, guilt, or pride. The animals obeyed because obedience reduced discomfort. Benjamin did not react emotionally. He observed. He processed. He saw reality without the filter of emotional contagion. Modern thinkers share this trait. Their thoughts are not determined by the emotional climate around them. They think even when feeling would be easier. They analyze even when reacting would be faster. They choose clarity over belonging. This emotional separation protects them from infection. They also possess a painful, powerful awareness of patterns. Pattern recognition is the true root of intelligence. The animals on the farm saw events individually, isolated moments disconnected from the whole. Benjamin saw the pattern. He watched the arc of corruption unfold. He connected past, present, and future. He recognized repetition. He anticipated outcomes. He understood that each betrayal was not new, it was part of a structure. Modern thinkers do this too. They see long-term consequences that most people are blind to. They catch the psychological pattern behind political strategies, media manipulation, identity narratives, social conflicts. They recognize the cycle of history repeating itself. They sense the direction of collective collapse years before others notice anything wrong. Pattern recognition is what breaks the illusion of randomness. And once someone sees the pattern, they cannot pretend they don't. Awareness becomes irreversible. Another trait of those who resist the farm is their relationship with solitude. Where the masses fear isolation, the awakened mind seeks it. Not because they dislike people, but because solitude is the only place where their thoughts are truly their own. On the farm, Benjamin kept to himself. He was not swayed by the herd because he did not depend on the herd for emotional validation. Modern society fears solitude and worships social approval. People drown themselves in noise, in conversation, in distraction, just to avoid being alone with their own thoughts. But the thinker thrives there, in silence, in introspection, in the quiet distance where the narratives of the world cannot reach. Solitude strengthens consciousness. It sharpens intuition. It clarifies perception. A person who is not afraid to be alone cannot be controlled by the tribe. Another defining trait is a refusal to worship authority. The animals trusted the pigs because the pigs presented themselves as smarter, more capable, more rational. Benjamin never bowed to that illusion. He recognized authority as a psychological construct, not a marker of truth. Awakened individuals are the same. They respect knowledge, but not titles. They respect intelligence, but not hierarchy. They respect truth, but not institutions. They question experts when the logic is flawed. They question leaders when the motives are unclear. They question movements when the rhetoric replaces reality. They do not believe something is correct simply because it is widely accepted. Their loyalty is to truth, not to authority. This trait makes them dangerous to any system built on obedience. Another quality is memory. Not academic memory, but psychological memory. Benjamin remembered the past without distortion. He remembered how the farm used to be. He remembered every promise made, every rule broken, every shift in narrative. This memory protected him from manipulation. Modern thinkers possess the same type of memory. They remember contradictions. They remember when narratives changed direction. They remember inconsistencies that others conveniently forget. This memory is not always pleasant. It often isolates them. It creates a sense of living in a different psychological reality than everyone else. But without memory, there is no awareness. Without awareness, there is no resistance. Memory is the root of critical thought. These individuals also have a different reaction to fear. Most people respond to fear by seeking protection, by running toward authority, toward narratives, toward the herd. Awakened minds do the opposite. Fear triggers analysis. Fear awakens logic. Fear makes them question instead of follow. Fear sharpens their awareness instead of blinding it. This is why manipulation often fails on them. They do not respond predictably to emotional triggers. The pigs could not frighten Benjamin into obedience. Their tactics failed because fear cannot control a mind in observation mode. Fear is powerless against someone who sees through it. Finally, the minds who resist the farm share one last trait: a sense that something is wrong long before they can explain why. This intuition is not mystical. It is psychological sensitivity, a deeper register of perception, a subconscious analysis of tone, pattern, structure, and consequence. Benjamin felt it from the moment Napoleon rose to power. He sensed the direction long before the collapse became obvious. Awakened minds today feel the same thing, that the world is drifting into something darker, narrower, shallower, more controlled. They cannot always articulate it, but they can feel it. A quiet alarm ringing in the background of consciousness. This intuitive discomfort is the first step of awakening. It is the inner voice that refuses sedation. It is the crack through which truth enters. Yet resisting the farm comes with suffering. Awareness isolates. Intelligence isolates. Perception isolates. Truth isolates. Benjamin carried the weight of understanding in silence because the others could not bear it. Modern thinkers carry the same weight. They walk through a world that feels increasingly unfamiliar because they see what others refuse to see. But awareness is not a curse. It is preparation. And in the next section, we explore the turning point. What happens when awakened individuals finally decide they can no longer stay silent or compliant in a society that punishes thought? When the awakened mind can no longer stay silent. There comes a point in every awakened mind's journey when staying silent becomes more painful than speaking truth. Not because the world is ready to listen, but because the weight of awareness can no longer be carried quietly. Even Benjamin, apathetic, detached, quietly observant Benjamin, eventually broke his silence. Not to save the farm, but because the suffering became undeniable. And when the suffering becomes undeniable, something ancient in the human psyche stirs awake. Awakened individuals reach this threshold slowly, incrementally, often reluctantly. They resist it at first. They try to adapt. They try to blend in. They try to avoid conflict. They try to convince themselves that the world isn't as blind as it appears. But the truth presses harder. The contradictions grow louder. The manipulation becomes unbearable. And eventually, silence feels like complicity. Society always expects the awakened to stay quiet, to play along, to pretend they see nothing, to laugh at things that aren't funny, to agree with ideas that aren't logical, to nod politely as the collective dives deeper into delusion. But the awakened mind cannot do this forever. The mind that sees cannot unsee. The soul that understands cannot unknow. Awareness, once awakened, demands expression, even if the world rejects it. This transition is one of the most painful phases of psychological awakening because it is the moment you stop protecting your comfort and start protecting your truth. On Orwell's farm, the breaking point came when Boxer was taken away. Benjamin had watched the decline silently. He had witnessed injustice, manipulation, betrayal, rewriting of history. But it wasn't until Boxer, the strong, loyal, innocent Boxer, was sacrificed that the truth pierced the final layer of Benjamin's emotional armor. The farm's corruption became too real to ignore. Awakened individuals in modern society experience their own Boxer moment. It might be a societal event that reveals the emptiness behind progress. It might be a personal betrayal that exposes hidden power dynamics. It might be witnessing someone good destroyed by the very system they believed in. It might be the gradual realization that the institutions people trust care more about perception than truth. In that moment, the illusion collapses. The awakened can no longer retreat into quiet observation. They begin to speak. Not loudly, not aggressively, but with a clarity that disrupts the emotional fog everyone else is living in. Their voice becomes a threat because their truth is incompatible with a society built on lies. This shift from silent observation to conscious expression is not a choice. It is a psychological necessity. The mind can suppress awareness for a while, but suppression deteriorates the soul. A person who sees truth must eventually live in alignment with it, or they begin to fracture internally. This is why silence becomes unbearable. You start feeling disconnected from yourself. Your inner world becomes heavy. Your thoughts feel too sharp to remain caged. Your intuition begins clawing at your consciousness like a trapped animal. Unlike the herd, you cannot soothe yourself with slogans. You cannot rely on denial. You cannot numb your perception. You cannot drown your silence. Awareness in distractions. Your mind has crossed a threshold and cannot return. This is the psychological point where the awakened begins to articulate what others fear to even think. And once this expression begins, the internal transformation accelerates. But speaking truth comes with consequences, and the awakened learn this quickly. The world reacts defensively to anyone who threatens its illusions. Just like the animals on the farm who rejected reality and clung to the pig's propaganda, modern society resists anyone who questions its narratives. Awakened voices face ridicule, not because they're wrong, but because they disrupt comfort. They face hostility, not because they're harmful, but because their clarity exposes unconsciousness. They face dismissal, not because they lack logic, but because logic has no place in emotional societies. The herd does not want clarity. It wants cohesion. It wants simplicity. It wants emotional, satisfying lies over psychologically demanding truths. Awakened individuals quickly realize they are not fighting ignorance. They are fighting attachment. Attachment to identity. Attachment to tribal narratives. Attachment to emotional stories. Attachment to comfort over accuracy. This is why truth-tellers are rarely celebrated in their lifetime. People want enlightenment until enlightenment threatens their illusions. Another difficulty arises. The awakened must navigate the loneliness of leadership. Not leadership in the traditional sense, no titles, no authority, no followers. Leadership of perspective, leadership of consciousness, leadership of clarity in a world drowning in noise. Benjamin understood this loneliness. He had the clearest mind on the farm, yet the least influence. Because truth alone doesn't lead people, truth needs desire, and most people do not desire truth. They desire certainty, validation, belonging. Awakened individuals become psychological outsiders, not because they choose to be, but because their inner world no longer aligns with the collective illusion. Their clarity becomes a burden. Their insight becomes isolation. Their awareness separates them from the emotional comforts that others rely on. This loneliness is not punishment, it is evolution. But evolution always feels like separation. Eventually, though, the awakened discover something unexpected. Their truth affects reality even when others resist it. Not immediately, not dramatically, not consistently, but truth has a gravitational pull. When one person refuses to obey the farm, it quietly destabilizes the psychological structure around them. People begin noticing things they previously ignored. They question things they previously accepted. They feel discomfort they previously suppressed. Awakening spreads quietly through discomfort, not through inspiration. Benjamin's alarm at Boxer's fate did not awaken the farm, but it awakened a seed in the animals' minds. Awakened individuals today plant similar seeds, not through preaching, but through presence, not through argument, but through authenticity, not through force, but through clarity. Their very existence creates microfractures in the collective illusion, and illusions crack quietly at first, before collapsing all at once. But perhaps the most profound shift comes from the awakened individual's internal transformation. Once they choose truth over comfort, their life begins to change fundamentally. They stop participating in systems that drain their mind. They withdraw from conversations built on emotional impulses. They lose interest in narratives that insult their intelligence. They detach from social structures that reward conformity. They develop immunity to manipulation. Their awareness stabilizes into something solid, quiet, and immovable. This stability becomes freedom. Not the political kind, not the external kind, but the freedom that comes from reclaiming one's mind from every force that tried to shape it. In Orwell's world, Benjamin never joined the pigs and never joined the sheep. He walked alone. Not as a rebel, but as someone who refused to surrender his consciousness. Awakened individuals today walk the same path, not above society, not against it, but apart from it. Apartness is clarity. Clarity is autonomy. Autonomy is liberation. Yet even liberation has its final test. The awakened must decide what to do with their awareness. Do they remain silent observers, watching the farm burn from a distance? Or do they speak, even knowing the herd will resist? Do they withdraw completely, or do they become a quiet catalyst for others? This decision shapes their next psychological evolution. And that evolution is the heart of the next section, where the awakened mind faces the final transformation that Orwell only hinted at, but never fully described. Final break from the collective mind. At some point, the awakened mind reaches a crossroads. It stands at the edge of the collective psyche, half inside, half outside, watching the world continue on its path toward illusion, obedience, emotional chaos, and self-inflicted blindness. This is the moment when everything changes, not because society transforms, but because you do. Orwell never described what would have happened if Benjamin chose to leave the farm entirely. He left that path unwritten, unexplored, unfinished. But modern psychology knows the truth. Every awakened individual eventually faces the same inner demand: to choose consciousness over belonging, clarity over comfort, truth over acceptance. This is the final break from the collective mind. Up to this point, the awakened walk a difficult path between two worlds. They understand the illusions of the farm, but still live among them. They see the manipulation, but still participate in daily life. They feel isolated, but still attempt to communicate. They endure the collective blindness while carrying private awareness. But this tension cannot last forever. A mind that has outgrown the collective cannot keep shrinking itself to fit in. Something begins to shift deep inside. Quietly at first, like a subtle inner rearrangement. Then, more intensely, like a tectonic shift in the psyche. The mind starts rejecting what it once tolerated. Conversations feel hollow. Norms feel artificial. Expectations feel suffocating. The emotional noise of society feels unbearable. The awakened becomes psychologically allergic to the unconscious world. This is not a choice. It is an inevitability. When consciousness expands, the container it once lived in breaks. On Orwell's farm, Benjamin reached this breaking point the moment he saw Boxer's fate. His quiet resignation dissolved. His silence shattered. His detachment cracked open. But imagine the path he would have walked if he had gone even further. If he had stepped fully outside the psychological prison of the farm. Modern awakened individuals walk that path. They begin questioning every internalized belief they once assumed was theirs. They dissect their childhood conditioning, their inherited narratives, their cultural programming. They notice how much of their mind was shaped by systems that never had their best interest at heart. This dismantling of identity is painful, destabilizing, lonely. But it is the only path to psychological freedom. Awakening is not about learning more. It is about unlearning everything that chained your perception. As the break continues, the awakened mind realizes that most human suffering comes not from reality, but from illusions. Illusions of belonging, illusions of certainty, illusions of superiority, illusions of progress, illusions of authority, illusions of virtue, illusions of intelligence, illusions of control. The farm thrived because the animals needed illusions to make sense of their suffering. They needed to believe the pigs were working for their good. They needed to believe that hard work would pay off. They needed to believe their sacrifices meant something. Modern society functions the same way. People cling to illusions because the truth feels too heavy. But when the awakened reach this stage, illusions lose their power. They fall away like dead skin. And what remains is reality. Raw, unfiltered, free. This freedom terrifies the unconscious mind because it demands responsibility. But the awakened mind craves it. Freedom means no more lies to hide behind, no more social masks to maintain, No more narratives to protect. No more roles to perform. Just awareness standing alone. This is the break. As the separation deepens, something else emerges. A new kind of perception. The awakened begin seeing not just the manipulation, but the machinery behind it. They see the emotional incentives that keep the herd obedient. They see the unconscious fears that bind people to narratives. They see the internal fragility that drives collective delusions. They see the psychological architecture supporting the entire system. This is the phase where frustration transforms into understanding. You stop blaming individuals for their blindness. You begin recognizing that they are trapped in a structure designed to keep them blind. The pigs didn't create obedience. The farm did. Similarly, modern institutions don't need to consciously manipulate every person. The psychological environment does it for them. Awareness shifts from anger to insight. And insight is the first sign of liberation. Soon, a strange and profound event happens. Your inner world becomes stronger than the external world. The noise doesn't pull you in. The narratives don't convince you. The emotional waves of society no longer carry you. You begin living from the inside outward instead of from the outside inward. This reversal is the hallmark of a fully awakened mind. The collective loses its influence. Your identity detaches from the herd. Your self-worth detaches from approval. Your beliefs detach from tribalism. Your focus detaches from distraction. You become sovereign. Not in a political sense, but in a psychological sense. A sovereign mind cannot be owned. It cannot be shaped by propaganda. It cannot be seduced by conformity. It cannot be intimidated by outrage. It cannot be manipulated by fear. This is the point where the farm loses its power over you, even if you still physically live within it. But this freedom comes with a paradox. The more awake you become, the more the collective mind tries to pull you back. Not maliciously, instinctively. People fear what they cannot understand. They fear anyone who does not mirror their emotional state. They fear clarity, because clarity exposes their illusions. They fear independence, because independence confronts their dependency. And so, the awakened face pressure. Pressure to shrink. Pressure to conform. Pressure to pretend. Pressure to be normal. This pressure is the final test. Most people fail here. They dim their mind to protect relationships. They silence themselves to avoid conflict. They perform unconsciousness to regain acceptance. But those who complete the break refuse to collapse. They choose truth over approval. They choose clarity over belonging. They choose awareness over comfort. This choice is the psychological rebirth Orwell never wrote, but your life will demand. Eventually, something remarkable happens. The awakened stop expecting the herd to wake up with them. They accept that most people will never leave the farm. They accept that manipulation is comforting for some. They accept that illusions are necessary for many. They accept that truth is unbearable for the majority. This acceptance is not cynicism. It is liberation. It frees the awakened from the impossible task of trying to rescue everyone. It allows them to turn inward and focus on their own path, their own evolution, their own inner alignment. In letting go of the herd, they reclaim themselves. And once the self is reclaimed, a new life begins, not outside society, but beyond it. This is the birth of the sovereign psyche, the individual who sees the world clearly and chooses to navigate it consciously rather than unconsciously. In the final transformation, we explore what happens after this break, the moment when the awakened steps into a new reality and society begins responding to them differently. Biased reshapes reality itself. There's a subtle shift that happens after the awakened mind breaks from the collective. Not dramatic, not cinematic, more like the quiet turn of a wheel deep inside the psyche. A rotation so smooth that the world doesn't notice it, but you do. Because suddenly, reality begins responding differently to you. This is the transformation no philosopher can fully articulate, and no society can fully suppress. It's what Orwell hinted at, but never dared to explore. The moment when a person steps outside the psychological farm completely and enters a new level of consciousness where life no longer reacts to the collective illusions you've abandoned. People think awakening is about knowledge, but it's not. Awakening is about resonance. You stop resonating with the unconscious world, and unconsciously, the world stops pulling you into it. Something inside you disentangles from everything outside you, and you begin to see that reality was never just external. It was partly shaped, bent, colored, distorted, or clarified by your internal state. When your mind changes, your world changes. Not magically, psychologically. This is the transformation that separates the awakened from those who merely think they are awake. Once you've broken from the collective mind, the first thing you notice is how much quieter everything becomes. Not the physical world, the internal one. The noise that used to fill you, the opinions of others, the narrative of society, the emotional weather of crowds, no longer sticks to your skin. The fog lifts. The static dissolves. Your thoughts become your own again. It feels foreign at first, almost uncomfortable. You've spent so long absorbing the frequency of the herd that silence feels unnatural. But slowly, you remember what it's like to think without interference. This clarity becomes the foundation of your new reality. When a mind becomes clear, its perception becomes sharp. And when perception becomes sharp, the world responds differently. Opportunities appear where chaos hid them. Patterns reveal themselves that were invisible before. People show their true nature because nothing distorts your vision. Your intuition becomes accurate because it's no longer drowned in external noise. Reality hasn't changed. Your consciousness has. And consciousness shapes experience. This is the first sign that you've left the farm behind. Then comes the second shift. People begin treating you differently without knowing why. Some become nervous around you. Some become defensive. Some become strangely respectful. Some avoid you entirely. Some gravitate toward you like you're carrying something they lost but don't know how to reclaim. Your presence disrupts their unconscious patterns. Because your mind is no longer running on the same emotional software as theirs, awakened individuals emit a psychological signature, a quiet steadiness, a refusal to react impulsively, a depth of attention, a sense of inward alignment. People feel this, even if they cannot articulate it. In Orwell's world, Benjamin carried this energy, a silent clarity that unsettled the other animals, without him ever raising his voice. Modern, awakened individuals carry the same effect. You don't try to be mysterious. You become mysterious, because you are no longer predictable. You don't try to be intimidating. You become intimidating because you cannot be manipulated. You don't try to be wise. You become wise because your mind is no longer chained. This shift marks the moment when the collective can no longer contain you. You've become psychologically larger than the environment you were raised in. The next transformation is even deeper. Your emotional life reorganizes itself. The fear that once dictated your decisions begins to dissolve. Not because life becomes easier, but because your awareness can now see beneath the fear. The anxiety that used to cloud your judgment no longer has power, because you've peeled away the illusions that fed it. The need for validation falls away effortlessly, because you finally understand that validation was a symptom of conditioning, not a reflection of your worth. The anger you once felt toward society's stupidity changes into understanding, not forgiveness, but comprehension. You no longer want to change people. You no longer want to save them. You no longer want to pull them out of the herd, because you now realize that the journey cannot be forced. Awakening is not taught. Awakening is triggered, and most people will never encounter that trigger. This acceptance removes an enormous emotional burden you didn't even realize you were carrying. You stop resisting what you cannot change. You stop fighting illusions. You stop debating shadows. You stop explaining truth to those committed to lies. Your emotional energy becomes focused, contained, intentional. This is the stage where inner freedom begins to stabilize. The next shift is existential. You realize you are not alone. Not in the physical sense, not in the social sense, but in a psychological sense. You begin sensing others like you, quiet observers, deep thinkers, untamed minds, people who slipped through the cracks of conditioning and saw the world from outside the frame. They don't announce themselves. They don't signal their depth. They don't advertise their clarity. You recognize them through the absence of noise around them, through the quality of their silence, through the lack of performative identity, through the steadiness in their presence. This recognition creates an invisible alliance, not a community, not a group, but a resonance field. The awakened find one another not through seeking, but through being. And this quiet network becomes your psychological refuge, a reminder that you are not insane, not delusional, not alone in seeing the world clearly. This reconnection strengthens your transformation further, but the final stage is the most profound. You begin shaping reality from the inside outward. When you detach from society's illusions, life stops pushing you in the same chaotic directions. Your inner state begins influencing what you attract, what you avoid, what you perceive, and what you create. This is not mystical. It is psychological physics. Consciousness filters reality. When your consciousness changes, your reality reorganizes itself around the new filter. You stop repeating destructive cycles because you no longer resonate with them. You stop attracting unconscious relationships because your energy no longer matches theirs. You stop sabotaging your growth because the old patterns cannot survive the clarity of your new mind. Life feels different because you are different. This is the transformation that society fears most. A person who is awake cannot be controlled, cannot be seduced, cannot be broken. The pigs could rule the farm as long as the animals remained blind. But a single, fully awakened soul shatters the entire psychological structure. Not by rebellion, by awareness. You become the anomaly the system cannot absorb. You become the consciousness that no narrative can contain. You become the individual that illusion cannot deceive. This is the final liberation. The moment your mind steps beyond the reach of the collective world and stands sovereign at last. And now, I'll leave you with the question that defines this entire journey.